Hello and welcome back to the YouTube video. Today I'm going to be doing the patch 14.4 notes, so if you have content, like, subscribe, and let's get into it. There are a couple of changes here. This is what Riot are planning to be the last major patch, and then they're going to start doing some smaller patches. There are a couple of things being adjusted, a bit of a change to Cassante to try and even out his skill distribution. Rek'Sai is getting some changes which he had in the past added back onto her, and Smolder is receiving some adjustments as his playstyle isn't really what they want at the moment. Alongside this, we're getting 8 new skins, which are porcelain, 7 new skins which are porcelain, and then Glorious Tryndamere, which is going to be coming out. Vanguard is going to be updated in 14.5, I believe, and then we're getting the Windows min-spec update as well. On the champion balance side of things, so Ahri is the first champion. She is getting a health growth increase of 96 to 104. However, the big change here is the Orb of Deception damage is going to be going up by 5% on the AP ratio, as this takes 2 hits, the one going out, which is magic damage, the one coming back in, which is true damage. This is a 10% AP ratio increase, which is very nice for Ahri. It allows her to do a bit more damage when looking for assassinations on people. It gives her access to a bit more wave clear. The health growth gives her a bit more durability with the loss of things like Everfrost. This is very nice for her as well. Overall, Ahri should be in a good spot. She's not doing too badly at the moment, but needs a bit of help. Asol is performing really well at the moment. He got a bunch of changes last patch. He then got hotfix nerfed as he was performing too well. He is still performing too well, so they are nerfing his Q damage from 60 to 100 to 55 to 95. I believe this is the only change they are making here. Oh, on top of the AP ratio also getting down by 5%. So a decent nerf here. I imagine this will actually equate to a decent loss of win rate, which should put him down a bit in power. He's very much just going to stay low elo skewed for the most part. I don't think this is suddenly going to be fixing with these changes. These are just generalistic nerfs, so yeah, he will be performing alright. In low elo, might not be great in high. We'll have to see. Bard is getting a bunch of changes to try and move him away from his durability builds and try and push him towards building a bit more AP. The armor growth is going to be going down from 5.2 to 5. The level 1 attack speed is going to be going up. The attack speed ratio is going to be going up. This encourages the likes of RFC buying. The passive Traveler's Call is going to have its damage reduced from 14 per 5 chimes to 10 per 5 chimes, and then having a 10% AP ratio added onto this encourages the likes of a Dark Seal pickup and maybe some other AP items. And then the Q is going to have its AP ratio increased by 15%, but it is going to be losing 20 flat damage at later ranks. I don't imagine these will do a huge amount to nerf Bard. A lot of Bard's value does come from the fact that he has strong CC, strong slows, makes him really frustrating to play against when he is also very hard to kill. This will make him a bit less frustrating if he does opt into a couple of AP or attack speed items, but I imagine you'll probably still end up going the same build and he will still be relatively strong. So yeah, Bard will still stay relatively powerful this patch. Fiora is going to have her attack speed slow on W reduced, so this is when you don't parry CC, you get the attack speed cripple combined with the slow, and that is going to go from 50% for 2 seconds to 25% for 2 seconds. I don't imagine this would do enough to nerf Fiora. She's very strong at the moment, and as much as this is a quality of life change for other people, and reduces frustration against playing with the champion, so maybe her ban rate does go down significantly, yeah, she'll still stay relatively strong. Alawi performing really well at the moment, especially in low elo against tanks. She is very oppressive to play against. Her damage is going to be going down from 115% of total AD to 100% of total AD. So this is a very large change, as it is her main source of DPS output, combined with healing on the tentacles. Yeah, this sort of a change will really hurt her, and yeah, massively reduce the amount of damage she can output. So I do think this is a good change. Could be an overswing, could be an underswing, we'll have to see. But yeah, I imagine this would do a decent amount to reduce her power. Jace is performing very poorly at the moment. He's one of the weakest top laners in the game. The attack damage is going to be going up by a flat 2. This is mostly an elite and high elo skew change. The W is going to have its mana restore go from 10 to 20 to 15 to 20, which is mostly going to be the early, which it's stronger. Getting access to a bit more mana restore on the auto is very nice for him. And the magic damage per second on this ability is going to go from 35 to 110 to 40 to 110. So also the main thing you're looking at here is the access to a bit more early game damage. damage, and then the E is now going to root enemies on initial cast, similar to Lee Sin's R root, which is quite a nice change for him and makes it a bit more consistent as an ability. But yeah, the most important thing here for Jace is the values, the early game values, the access to a bit more AD, the access to a bit more mana restore, and a bit more magic damage on the W. If you're able to continuously auto someone, rotate your entire W on top of someone, then yes, he will do a decent bit more damage. But will this suddenly push him into the meta? I don't imagine so, but I could definitely see some people picking him back up as being a decent champion. Cassante getting a bunch of changes to try and just make him a bit less mobile, so he has a bit more room for counterplay. The base health is going to be going up from 570 to 625. The base mana is going to be going up from 290 to 320. The Q will no longer slow during all out. The W is going to have its ratio increased by 35%, and the bonus magic resistance ratio also increased by 35%. The all-out minimum channel time will no longer be reduced to 0.5 seconds. And the all-out cooldown reduction, all-out no longer reduces the cooldown to 18 to 12 seconds, so this is also a relatively large nerf. E is going to have its dash speed reduced from 1,500 to 900. The ally dash speed is going to go from 1,800 to 1,100 plus movement speed, and the all-out dash speed is going to go from 2,100 to 1,450. So a decent amount less mobility on the champion, combined with a bit of power loss on the Q in all-out, and a bit of W power down in all out. Yeah, overall should make him a lot less frustrating to play against. Was buffing up a bit of his base stat line. I could see this being power positive in low elo, but power negative with an elite, where it's going to be a case of maybe having to relearn the champion a bit with his new kind of timings and things. Kaiser is going to have her ult range increase from 1,500 to 3,000 to 2,000 to 3,000. Overall, this isn't going to do a lot. Gives her access to a bit more mobility early on into the game, maybe allows her to get more effective mid roams if you're able to CC someone mid, and then Kaiser can come in and finish off the kill. Could be something important, maybe skirmishes in river, but yeah, for the most part, this is very, very small. This isn't going to do a large amount, just a nice change, if anything. Callista is going to have her passive bug fixed, so she'll now gain dash distance with basic boots of speed, and the E is now going to have 10 of its damage taken off of it, so 2060 to 10 to 50. This is a relatively large nerf towards Callista. She's performing very well in pro play at the moment. I believe she's number 2 ADC behind Varus. Losing a bit of power should definitely make her less favourable as an early game bully, which is what this is mostly focused towards. Kind of flat damage values does hurt that. Lulu is getting a bunch of buffs, so Lulu is performing pretty poorly at the moment. The secondary bolt on her Q is going to go from 25% to 50%, so a nice damage buff on this. The E is going to have its damage buffed as well, 80 to 240 to 80 to 260. The shield value is going to go up from 75 to 235 to 80 to 260, which is a very big buff. This is going to do a huge amount. I imagine this is going to do the most heavy lifting on this patch. And then the AP ratio on the R is going to go up by 10%. So overall, yeah, I could see Lulu being very strong next patch. The main things here are the E. Having access to a bit more damage and a bit more shielding on this makes this ability a lot more powerful. Opting into a bit more CDR will definitely enable this to be up more often. But then if you want a bit more, if you're opting into a couple more AP ratio, AP items, something, or you're taking like Gathering Storm, for example, then there is value here. I imagine most people still take Scorched, so you can get a lot of early pressure with like your Q and your passive. But yeah, nice changes to Lulu. I could definitely see her being not meta, but like close to meta, if anything. Maokai is very strong at the moment. He is also very good in the top lane and the jungle, where he is able to just have generalistic power taken off. So the base armor is going to go down by 4. The magic damage on Q is going to go from 5, it's going to lose 5 at all ranks, and the R is going to lose some of its root duration. Primarily, the later values is what's being hit here. The early root duration isn't going down a huge amount. Overall, yeah, big changes. Well, not, I'd say they're decent changes towards Maokai. I imagine he's still going to be very strong as a support. I don't imagine this will take him out of the OP section. For top, losing 5 flat damage on Q is quite important, as that can definitely hurt some of his trades. and makes things like Scorch a bit more valuable if you're looking to a bit more damage. Same goes for the base armor, makes him a bit more vulnerable to the likes of Aatrox and Riven in the top lane. In the bot lane, makes him a bit more susceptible to like double poke lanes, like your Ashe Varus's kind of thing. And yeah, the R is just a generalistic nerf, which is going to hurt him. Rek'Sai is receiving a suite of changes. She is going to have her base movement speed go up by 5. Base health regen is going to go down by 5. Health regeneration growth is going to go down by 0.15. The base Fury of the Rek'Sai, Fury of the Xerxes is going to go from 10 to with plus 2 to 10% based on level maximum health, to 12 to 20% based on level maximum health, so getting a lot of power through this now. Fury generation from non-champions, attacks against minions, plants, and wards, restore 50% less fury. This is to mainly nerf the idea of top lane Rek'Sai. Q is now going to have its attack type changed, now functions as a basic attack instead of a spell, meaning total attack time and time between attacks is based on Rek'Sai's actual attack speed. Bonus attack speed. Queen's Wrath now grants some 45% bonus attack speed for its 3 attacks. So yeah, I think this is a buff, I believe. Might hurt it if you're looking for like an auto attack reset kind of power thing. But yeah, it should be a nice change. Q is going to have its cooldown reduced from 12 to 10 to 10 seconds at all ranks. The damage is going to go from 60 to 200, 50% bonus AD ratio, 70% bonus AP ratio, 250 to 170, so a slight damage nerf there, losing 10 to 30, with the AD ratio being cut in half from, going down by 25% bonus AD ratio, so a bit of a nerf there. W Burrow is now going to have its bonus movement speed go from 5, 10, 15 to 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 based on rank. So incentivizing the idea of maybe like a W max instead of a Q max. The vision radius is going to go from 25% to 35%, which is also a nice change. W Unburrow, grouping is scary. Unburrow now knocks up all champions for 1 second, not just the primary target. This is really good for like reducing damage taken in clear. And for like those big situations where you're able to like dash and like burrow into a team fight and get a big knockup. The Unburrow no longer slows enemies by 40% for 0.5 seconds post knockup. The damage is going to go from 50 to 190 to 50 to 150 with the 80% bonus AD ratio is now an 80% AP ratio. So just losing that entire AD ratio, which is a very big nerf. This is a lot of power down on the damage for a decent amount of power on the AoE knockup. The tunnels are going to have their cooldown reduced as well, 26 to 18 to 18 to 14. The tunnel reuse cooldown is going to go from 10 to 2 to 6 to 2. The manual cast dash speed is going to go from 550 movement speed from boots plus movement speed from boots to 500 plus total movement speed. So this should be faster. Quality of life adjustment. Remove the 0.05 second hitch, which when manually casting tunnels. Quality of life adjustment. Rek'Sai begins taking already paced tunnels roughly 20% faster, which is a big buff towards having already laid out tunnels. The E is going to have its damage go from 5 to 25 plus 70% of AD to just 100% of total AD. This is the damage it's going to do. And then the Fury bonus is going to be 2 times as true damage, which is gone now, to plus 6 to 14% based on rank of target's maximum health. Makes a bit better at killing tanks, but a lot worse at killing champions which are like low health. I mean, for the most part, just lower health enemies. The cooldown is going to go from 12 to 10 seconds. E now displays a cosmetic critical strike when fully empowered, which is a nice thing to have. And then the R is going to have its damage stay, the flat damage stay the same. The bonus AD ratio is going to go down by 75%, however. So yeah. Overall, I wouldn't be surprised if this is powered down for Rek'Sai. Honestly, I could definitely see it. Of course, there is like big things here, like the movement speed being restored on W is really important. A bit like having accessibility to a bit more movement speed around the map, having a bit more tank killing potential. All these are very important. Combined with a couple of cooldown decreases and having the healing buff. Yeah, there are things here which could like lead to like obviously a lot of power, but there are also things here which could be quite big towards nerfing her overall damage, which could just be a big enough in general. We'll have to see. Yeah, but it definitely does incentivize a lot more towards bruiser builds, where you're able to pick up a lot more health and be a lot more tanky throughout the game. Renekton is going to have his Q healing go from 12 to 36 to 12 to 44, plus 15% bonus AD to plus 17% bonus AD. The E slice is going to go from 16 to 12 to 16 to 10. The R dominus is going to go from 250 to 550 to 300, 700. So he gets access to a bit more health on the ultimate, bit more cooldown on the E, a bit more healing on the Q. The main thing to look out for here is 3 points Q into W max into E max. This could be really powerful in Renekton. It could be a lot of power combined with like an Eclipse build. Renekton could genuinely be like a high tier meta top laner. So do be aware of this. Yeah, that could be a lot of power. Well, I mean, this is a lot of power power combined with like build optimizations and like rank recommendations. Smolder is going to have his Q change, so Fireballs at 125 stacks is going to go from 2 plus 1 per 100 Dragon Patient stacks to 1 plus 1 per 67 Dragon Patient stacks, so a buff towards his scaling, a little less early on in the game. Quality of life update: if a minion dies while Smolder's Q is in flight towards it, Smolder will still receive Dragon Patient stacks, so this will give him access to a couple more throughout the game. The W is going to be nerfed early, nerfed early on the cooldown, so 13 to 11 is now 14 to 10, buffed a bit later on. The initial physical damage is going to go from 70 to 150 to 50 to 170. The AP ratio is also going to be going down by 15%. The explosion physical damage is going to go from 25 to 85 to plus 65% AP ratio to 25 to 85, with a 25% bonus AD ratio being added on, plus 80% of AP ratio on the explosion, so going up by 15% on this. This is a nice change. Overall, I imagine these are mostly targeted towards late game Smolder buffs. Nothing his early game, mid game power a slight bit, making Q start a little less effective, as that is giving him a lot of power with D-Ring at the moment. Yeah, this is also quite nice. Smolder's bomb will no longer stop if Smolder dies. Soraka also performing quite poorly at the moment. The bonus movement speed towards running at allies when they are low is going from 70% to 90%. The Q is going to go from 50 to 110 to 60 to 120 on the total heal, which is also quite a nice change. The E now silences enemies in the area instantly rather than after a variable delay. Bit more consistency, always a good thing. And then the main thing here, the 10 seconds off of her ultimate is really nice. Allows her to have a lot more map presence, especially early on to the game. 10 seconds of this ability is really big. Will definitely put her in a better spot. Thresh is going to be gaining 3 base armor. He is going to have his flay damage go up from 75 to 235 to 75 to 255. And the R is going to be going down by 20 seconds at all ranks. Big changes towards Thresh, makes his E a bit more powerful, makes his R feel a lot nicer with it being up more often, and then a bit more armor, makes him a slight bit more durable. Should be good changes towards Thresh. Don't think it's anything meta-defining, but yeah, it should be in a better spot now. Twisted Fate, now talking about a meta-defining champion, the attack speed growth is going to be going from 3% to 2.5%, which is a nerf. The W is going to have its AP ratio go down by 15%, of course, everyone saw this and thought, why didn't I think AP Twisted Fate? AP Twisted Fate is also very strong at the moment and can be utilized as like a flex pick, combined with like his AD builds. And then the E going to be losing 10% of its AP ratio. This is mostly to target things like the Ginsu's build, where you're picking up a bit of AP through this item. Overall, I imagine Twisted Fate will still be very strong. Mostly towards mid lane, I imagine. But yeah, he will still be a good bot laner and a good top laner. Varus will be losing 2 base attack damage. Very simple here, but definitely mostly targeted towards pro play, where his lethality builds are very performant, and his on-hit builds tend to be a bit more performant in solo queue. Not as popular within solo queue, not as popular within pro play, but yeah, it's enough towards both. Volibear, he has been pretty weak for a while now, so it's good to see some changes on him. His bonus movement speed is going to go from 8 to 24% to 12 to 28%. Very nice change towards stronger Volibear. Allows him to be able to catch people when movement power creep is really like obvious at the moment. Loads of people running around with, like Ghost, Fleet Footwork, Storm Razor, stuff like this, giving access to a lot of movement speed. So yeah, nice change here. The E is going to have its cooldown reduced by 1 second, which is also nice to having it being a bit more accessible. Maybe he can rotate it once more during a fight. Could be very important. Turret disable duration is going to be going down by 1 second at all ranks. The cooldown is going to be going from 160 to 120 to 130 to 110. And the crowd control resistance during leap will no longer be crowd control immune, but unstoppable. So something like on where you can still be CC'd if the length of the CC outlives the length of your W. Zyra is going to have her passive plant damage go down a bit from 20 to 88 to 16 to 84. However, bonus damage to non-epic monsters is going to go from 40 to 100 to 60 to 100. This is very big for Jungle Zyra. I could see Jungle Zyra possibly being kind of something akin to like a Brand next patch. Not like Brand at his peak, but obviously Brand kind of similar to what he is at the moment, as this is a lot of power early on into the game, especially for like clear speeds when you're only losing 4 of the base value. Yeah, this is a huge amount of gain. Black Cleaver is going to have its build path change, so that's pretty nice for it. Allows it to be a bit more of a... Well, okay, so it's going from Phage, Kindred Gem, Longsword, 750 gold to Phage, Corfield's Warhammer, Ruby Crystal. The main thing here is Corfield's Warhammer is a very nice build path for a lot of champions which want to build this item. Having access to this, combined with the overall cost going down, so you can get access to more components. Very good change for Black Cleaver. Combined with that, the carve armor reduction per stack is going to be going up from 4% to 5%. The stacks, however, are going to be going down from 6 to 5, but the maximum armor reduction is still going to be going up from 24 to 25. So that is a very big change towards this item. Combined with the fact that the bonus movement speed is going to go from 20 for melee, 10 to range, to 20 for all champions. Imagine something like Argot will be a lot stronger with this. On further port conditions will just be all physical damage, even if mitigated. There were like niche cases where shields and invulnerability could just remove it. Hullbreaker currently has an extremely strong interaction with Argot W, so they are changing it to be on hit instead of on attack items. Yeah, Argot was very powerful with this champion. This patch was like Giga OP in the top lane. This should definitely fix that. Ravenous Hydra is going to have its lifesteal applied at 150% effectiveness instead of just 100%, make it a bit more favorable as an option. Stridebreaker is doing well at the moment, however it is having a couple of bug fixes. Passive movement speed is applied as soon as you deal damage instead of after a short delay, and now functions even if the damage is shielded, so buff there. Active movement speed now properly decays over the full duration of 3 seconds instead of decaying to 0 over 1.75, so buff there. And the active movement speed now displays a buff icon for its duration, which is also a nice change. Terminus is going to have it stacks effective faster, so you don't have to auto as much to get the full effectiveness out of this item. 6 total autos instead of 10. It's also having a build path change. The bonus armor magic resist per stack is going to go from 3 to 4, 3, 4, 5 to 6, 7, 8. The maximum bonus armor magic resist is going to go from 15 to 20, 25 to 18, 21, 24. So you're not getting a huge amount more, but it does ramp up a lot faster, which is a lot nicer for the item. The percentage armor magic resist penetration is going to go from 6 to 10%. So the total is going to stay at 30%, just accessible to it more faster within the fights, which is very nice. Helps out champions which want to build this, like Cogmore. I think Vayne in certain situations wants to build this. Maybe some other champions do start picking it up, like a Twisted Fate. Yeah, it could be interesting. Definitely a nice buff towards this item. Support items were performing too well. But they weren't performing too well. They were doing unique things with like you could like double Doran start in the bot lane and then pick up a support item later on into the game and get access to like the charges instantly. They're kind of trying to reduce that here. So quest charge cooldown is going to go from 18 seconds to 20 seconds. First quest charge generated rather than being 208 to 150 in-game time. By now, World's Atlas will no longer provide bonus stacks if purchased later into the game. This will really help the like Doran strategy. Quest charge cooldown is going to go from 18 to 20 seconds. The health on the full item, however, is going to go up from 100 to 200. And the health and mana regen is also going to be going up from 50 to 75%, which is quite nice for a lot of champions which want to use it. Bloodsong is going to have its range damage amplification reduced from 6% to 5%. Solstice Slay is going to have its heal change from 120 to 70% of the user's maximum health, and going sledding movement speed is going to be 90 flat movement, or instead of 90 flat movement speed is going to be 50% bonus movement speed, decaying over 3 seconds instead of 4 seconds, so a bit of a change here. Zexax is going to have its explosion cooldown go from 9 to 6 based on level to 8 to 6 based on levels 1, 11, 16. The Void explosion damage is going to go from 50 flat with a 50% AP scaling and 3% of the target's maximum health to 20 flat, 20% AP ratio and 4% of the target's maximum health, so it gives it a bit better scaling potential. Lost chapter items are gaining 5 ability haste, so that's Arcanes, Ludens, Malignants. Lethal Tempo is getting enough early on to the game, which is going from 9 to 30.5% to 5 to 16.5%. This will really help the likes of Yasuo, Yone for sure. Those are the primary ones. Of course, Tryndamere and Trundle will also be hit by this a decent amount. So yeah, a bit of power down there. We're also updating some in-game room trackers to showcase more relevant information. Damage done is now going to be total max for health gain, which is a godsend of a change. Thank you. This should have been in the game years ago. So yeah, that's a nice thing to get. Progress to next stack is now going to be attack speed gained in total. Total shield creation created to damage blocked. Yeah, these are all very nice changes, but a lot more relevant towards the information which you want. Fountain health regeneration is going to go up by 2.1%, from 2.1% to 2.6%. Tether abilities are being changed, so there is a bunch here which will now kind of more frequently check to see whether you are still tethered to your target and whether they should break. So that's pretty important. Red side camera adjustment, so it's going to be a bit more centralized, it looks here. Well, it's good. It's I don't know. Red side just to show more vision on the bottom of the screen compared to live. Okay, yeah, so it is it's a bit further up. Cool, nice. A1 balance changes, so a couple of buffs, nerfs, bug fixes. Ranked LP gains. The changes that gave players below Emerald have resulted in promotions and demotions being too streaky, resulting in increasing frequency of players losing more LP in the game. With patch 14.4, we're reverting changes back to plus minus 25 LP per winners to make climbing a bit more consistent. Okay, cool. Quick Play is going to get a couple of changes. Clash is coming up soon. Mythic Shop rotation. And a bunch of bug fixes and quality of life changes. And then the skins. So Asol, Tryndamere, Darius, Graves, Morgana, Misfortune, Aurelia, and Kindred Prestige. The Asol one is a legendary. And the Victorious Tryndamere one should have a bunch of chromas for what rank you hit. Which is cool. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.